What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Faithful Fanatic. Happy Friday to everybody out there that gets the chance to tune in, and thank you for tuning in, of course. I'm your host, at Scotty Drown is where you can find me on social media. I go by Scotty, and as you can see to the left of me on the screen, my man Dylan. He's coming from an external source today, an external studio today. He's at his girl's place. So I'm gonna get us started here with the intro. Of course, I can't do it as well as my man Dylan, but we'll get started nonetheless. Today, you see the title, man. It just doesn't end. The agony. It feels like I can trace it back to AJ dropping passes in the first playoff game for the Eagles against San Fran, but maybe we don't even have to go back that far. You could go back to the months missed of Maxey, Paul George for suspension, Embiid for another injury, right? And now we got the appendix. We're coming off the loss last night. So the Sixers, they feel like they're cursed, man. And then on the other side of things, we have the Phillies. They traveled out west. Didn't feel much better out there either. But that's what we got to get into today. We do have a bright spot in Philly. The Fly Guys, the Flyers. They control their own destiny. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end. But
they too lost 6-3 last night, but they're not gonna win out. They're not gonna
win every game. They had won the two prior to that, I believe, right? So
they've been
got to take care of business this week.
Team in the NHL over the last 15, 25 games or something like that. So they are the bright spot right now. But the Phillies haven't scored a run in 20 innings. Before that, they had a nice come from behind victory in the first game against San Francisco. Where I think they their runs in the seventh. Yeah, I think obviously they won 2 out of 3 in Colorado. They lost to Taiwan start on Easter Sunday, but nonetheless, all things considered, they had won 5 of 6 or something like that. They sit at 6-6 after losing the last 2. Scored that many runs over the last 20 years. You're not going to win a baseball game if you don't score any runs. So that's kind of the goal of playing. And then the Sixers, you said it feels like they're cursed. They are, and Joel Embiid is just cursed, man. Obviously, we're going to get to a point in the show over the next couple minutes, the next hour, where it sounds like we're ripping Joel, and in a sense, we're just ripping the whole situation as a whole.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you can't make this up. You just, it's not like, oh, he's saying my side hurts or my knee hurts or that. He had appendicitis. He had to get emergency surgery in a different state because he had appendicitis. You just simply cannot make up a laundry list of injuries and unfortunate things that have happened to this dude over his career. But they're cursed. There's just nothing else to be said about it. A week ago, me more so than you, I think, on the show, just getting a little bit more on the hype train of, this team can compete in the Eastern Conference in the playoffs, and that is official. That ship is set. That's gone. People that hate Joel, regardless of the injuries, are going to get a very clean look in a week from now about what this team looks like in playoff basketball, not just for a game or two in a Knicks series where Maxey's number one. You're going to get a look at Paul George and Tyrese Maxey and the rest of this team without Joel, and they're going to be a play-in team more than at this point. So you're looking at a 7 or 8 seed, first round gentleman's sweep. I don't know. So a week ago, I thought the season was back on. You get to me to Easter and beyond, and now it feels like we're just ready for another funeral to end the season.
I completely agree, and I just wanted to add on to your point. Just in regards to the way the conversation might sound versus how we feel about Joel, and I think the big thing is, it's not that we blame Joel personally. It's nothing like that. And you think of the timing, man. You think of the timing, right? Yeah. And we talked about that last show. It was we thought the timing was perfect. Everybody's coming back right in time for the postseason. We get it. Joel.
Yeah.
And no, instead it actually comes. We find out about the appendicitis right before the postseason starts to eliminate him for any postseason window that we could look forward to, which is it's double worse. You know what I mean? But my biggest, I'll start here. My biggest wonder is with the Sixers medical staff. Quite honestly, did they miss something here? Because it's not. I just don't think it's a coincidence that Oh, he had an abdomen issue pop up.
Strain.
What was that against Miami or Houston?
Months, 2 months ago at this point.
If they would have just found out that it's appendicitis at that time, we could have had the surgery.
And maybe it's not right
now.
Yeah, look, we're no physician, right? We're not doctors.
I'm no
I have
physician.
no idea how it correlates at all. But you are in the you are in the ballpark of like conspiracy theory. Like it's too much of a coincidence. Like you're so his side, and look, and I don't even know what side your appendix on. Like, was it this side? That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what side it is on. I don't know what side medically.
So we can't sit here and say that, but you are right. It just does seem very Sixers-ish that like this would be something if it can correlate to each other that they miss. And here we are, man. Let me ask you this: out of everything that Joel Embiid has gone through, after everything all the injuries we've seen to end seasons as a Sixers fan over the last decade, is this the weirdest one? Like he's had, it didn't end the season, but like he got a piece shaved off his meniscus at the same time, got Bell's palsy in one half of his face, and played in a playoff game. He's gotten his face ran into like 3 separate occasions and broke bones in his face and broke his nose and all this different shit. Now he has appendicitis a week before the postseason starts. I mean, it doesn't fucking end. And like I said, it's going to sound like it's a blame Joel type of thing. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. It's just we've now officially, like I have to say it, 2026 is when I've just come to not like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm ready to move on from Joel Embiid, but we're not. Like, there's no reason to. What are you going to move on from Joel Embiid for, Scott?
What are you going to get in return?
What are you going to get for Joel Embiid at this point? So we're just now at the point where I can't even come on the show with you 2 weeks before the playoffs and be excited that they're healthy because the other shoe hasn't dropped yet, and that's where I've reached. Like, I'm not. Oh, we got to get him out of here. It's always this. It's what are you going to get for him in the offseason if you're one of those people? Just tell me the offer, right? But at the same time, there's no more excitement from me. I don't think like there's no more hopefulness. Like Paul George has been playing out of his mind since returning from suspension. Max has had a down couple of games. Even in his down couple of games, it's 21, 23, 24. He's played on another level this entire year. VJ Edge come to 3rd overall pick. Kelly and Grimes are shooting well as of late. Everything seemingly was fitting at the right moment for this team to maybe make a little bit of noise depending on the matchup. Yeah. And it's gone. So that's it. It flew away like the rest of my hopes and dreams when it comes to being a Sixers fan.
I do agree, man. And, I think the question now, to your point about this season kind of being – not kind of, man. I'm like beating around the bush. I don't want to believe that it's cooked, but it is, man. Like it's cooked. And, I think now I'm just thinking of like how low can we go? You know what I mean? Like how low can we stoop to? Do we get kicked out of the play-in tournament? Do we even make the playoffs? Like – and the other side of that conversation is what is it worth to make the playoffs as well? But I do think there's some worth in experience for VJ, for Barlow, these type of guys that VJ's going to be here, right? Like regardless of what happens with Embiid in the future or, down the line, Paul George, this era of Sixers basketball, you have to, I pray VJ's here. like he is the hope for the future as well as like what he can give us right now. So just getting him some initial experience, even if it is against the tough teams of like Boston
and let's be frank. They're in no position with 3 or 4 games left. They're 43 and 37 or 43 and 36, like whatever they are. Yeah. There's no tanking. There's no we might get a top 6 pick.
No top 10 pick.
Nothing like that. Of course, we're all, even without Joel, even with us all understanding, like, hey, this team's not. We'll all take a playoff game, right? We'll all take a playoff basketball, regardless.
I'll get excited for it.
But it's the idea of heading in like, yo, this team has a shot. That goes out the window.
It goes out the window. Maybe with the 6th seed, right? Like maybe with the 6th seed, like maybe it's still the Knicks or the Cavs at that point, and like you're still not going to be favored, especially without Joel. Maybe not even a maybe, man. You're not beating the Knicks without Joel. Like it's not a maybe. I'm trying to like bring myself down here because I don't want it to, man. It just feels so like unfair, bro. Like
because there's a part of you. This is how I feel internally. There's a part of me that 1,000% believes in my mind like that they're done, right? Yeah. But you don't want to come out and say it, especially on a format like this. It's on social media because we are Sixers fans. I do love Tyrese Maxey, and Tyrese Maxey wins them a playoff series. Egg on my look. You know what I mean? Like look.
Yeah, for not believing.
Sound right for your hate. So you don't want to say anything too far as a Sixers fan, but there's also just being realistic, and the realistic part of things is for all those people out there that throughout the last year and a half, this year specifically, with how good Maxey was, and I am not trying to downplay how awesome Tyrese Maxey was this year, man. But for all the people out there that are they look better without Joel Embiid on the floor. Like they play faster. They don't play slow. Not everything has to run through him and da-da-da-da-da. You're about to get the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, that's right.
To get the opportunity of a lifetime to see what it's like without him on the floor.
Yeah.
For an entire playoff, like this isn't he injures himself in game 1, he misses 2 games, he comes back. Like we've seen that
gone for at least the series.
We've seen him miss the series when they're still going to smoke the first round team, like the Nets a few years ago, and then he can return. We've seen that. I'm talking. You're heading in, and he ain't coming. He's not coming back.
Yeah.
The timeline is 2 to 4 weeks, maybe more, depending. Dude, he's 7 feet tall. Everyone knows the injury history. Everyone knows the body. He's not coming back in 2.5 weeks, even if they were to win a playoff series somehow. So the season. So you're about to get it.
If you're down 2 games when that 18-day mark is up or whatever, the 2 to 3 weeks. If you're down 2-0, he's not coming back for that either, right? Like, why would he come back to like a series that you're like down multiple games in? It's not worth risking him further, right? Like, so.
Well, especially when the man had part of his knee shaven off. So he could come back early a few years ago. Just for them to lose in 6 in the same series.
Exactly.
And then that's kind of what jump-started the whole did they mishandle it, right? Because they went this route. Yeah. And so I don't know, man. It's very
I do have a question on the back of that because I think you're exactly right. And I think we've seen it this year, what this team looks like without Joel. And I think there's a difference. This team without Joel, like you said, with hopes of him returning in like a week or 2. Yeah. There's a difference in that team and the team that loses Joel to an indefinite timetable. And that's the team that we saw last night, right? That came out against a team that was on the tail end of a back-to-back in the Houston Rockets with like a fucking 40-year-old Kevin Durant out there just fucking cooking us on the tail end of a back-to-back. And so I look at that team that just looked completely unprepared, unmotivated to start the game. They had a little run in the fourth quarter where they caught up.
They cut it to like 7 and immediately went back to 14. It didn't matter.
Immediately went back to 14 once starters come back in. And, it just begs the question, how much of this is on Nick Nurse? Because we used to blame Doc Rivers when Joel would go out. And, this team, we discussed it off air, right? There are, maybe 23 teams in the NBA. I don't know. However many tier 1 superstars you have in your mind in the NBA, right? The rest of the teams without one of those players
don't have that.
Do not have a Joel Embiid ever.
Right.
And so they still can make the playoffs. The Toronto Raptors, they're going to get the 6th seed over us?
Right.
Should they be better than us even without Joel? I think that is like, you have Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. There's 2. Paul George's not an all-star right now. Maxey's an all-star. VJ's an up-and-coming rising player.
Yeah,
we've gone through the players
been playing out of his mind as well. But no, you're right. I think then you have to take it when you're looking at a coach or a manager situation. You have to take it case by case because people are going to come on and say, "Oh, well, you defend Rob Thompson or you defend Nick this or that."
Right.
The Nick Nurse thing, the Sixers team for me is when they win. I think it really is purely off of the talent that is available on the floor, right? Joel's topping 33, Maxey has 27, Paul George is 22, and they're just purely more talented than the team across from them. And I think when they lose, man, because it doesn't matter. They've lost the teams with all three playing. They've lost the teams with two of the three playing. It doesn't matter. When they lose, I think it does come down to the pure fact that this dude offers no adjustments. This dude offers nothing. I'm waiting for a different looking offensive scheme, just an answer for coming out of a timeout, like just something to counteract the
song. They can't even get the ball in sometimes, man. They can't even get the ball in bounds.
The third quarters, the fourth quarters are just 17 points, 14 points, getting blown the fuck out. That comes down to coaching. Like, don't get me wrong, the players aren't without fault in those instances, right? Like, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, you're on the floor. The ball's going to go in the hoop, right? You guys are the two best players on the floor. You should find a way. But Nick Nurse does nothing to counteract that. And so when you have as much talent as they do, and I know that talent hasn't been at his full disposal, obviously, with how many injuries and the suspensions he dealt with and the circus that they've gone through and he's gone through. But regardless, when two of them are on the floor, when three of them are on the floor, Scotty, let's be honest, man. When just Tyrese Maxey is available, and you have Tyrese and VJ and Quentin Grimes and Kelly Oubre Jr. and some of these guys, and you're in a competitive game with the Brooklyn Nets or the New Orleans Pelicans, like you said, they never have a Joel Embiid. They never have a Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
Fucking the Nets don't have a Paul George. At this age, they don't have a Paul George.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Or play down to their level for 3.5 quarters. That falls back onto coaching.
Or you go out and you go against like maybe just a middle of the pack team like the Miami Heat, right? And they just blow the doors off of you.
Yeah.
The Miami Heat, the 10 seed in the East, blows the doors off the Sixers in a must-win game for the Sixers, regardless if Joel's there or not. And they just go out and they lose. And I think to your point, like that third quarter shit that's taken place mostly in the first half of the season, it was like a roaring issue, but it's still there. They scored 17 points last night out of the break. It was every other quarter, 26 in the first, 30 in the second, 29 in the fourth, 17 in the third. That's what loses you the game. But like you said, when is the biggest timeout in a game? When is the longest timeout in the game, right? Timeouts are used to make adjustments. When's the biggest timeout? It's halftime. And we come out looking like a lost team. I think that represents what the coach presents. And I think what is mystifying for Sixers fans, for us, and where we get a little confused is because we've had two coaches in a row that are exactly the same type of coach.
Oh, yeah.
I did not think that Nick Nurse was like Doc Rivers. Yeah. I wanted Nick Nurse in Philadelphia. Yeah. But we run that same fucking offense at the end of games of just like pound the rock. If Embiid's in, pick and roll, pass it to Embiid, pound the rock, one-on-one. There is no organization to the offense, man. And then you'll sit there and you'll watch like these incredible like offensive movements by OKC and like San Antonio. I use them. They're the best teams in the NBA. Let's go to like Toronto. Let's go to Portland. Let's go to Houston or, any of these middling teams, the Charlotte Hornets. That are like modeled after the Boston Celtics right now. Got somebody off the Missoula coaching tree. Look what the Hornets could. The Hornets play a fun style of basketball. At least they can be middle of the pack. At least they play fun style.
Right, and that's exactly where we are. Right, that's exactly where we are because people can mock it. People can say, "Oh, well, they're fun," but it's Charlotte Hornets. Like, first of all, they haven't won ever. And now they're the 9 seed or 7, whatever.
Like the 9 seed, yeah.
So exactly. Who cares if they play a fun style? Well, we're not playing a fun style, and we're also the 8 seed. And there's all the reasons of what happened this season that go into that. But you still, at the end of the day, man, just on paper, I just will never understand how this team. I don't know. I'll never understand
that way for years.
Even look okay without him on the floor.
Yeah.
But then when he plays and they play that style of basketball, people hate it. People don't want to see it. Even though they win 5 in a row, people don't want to see it because it's slower. Everything's got to run through Joel. He's doing he's doing this. But then when he doesn't play, they'll win a game without him.
Yeah.
Earlier in the season, they actually played well-ish without him. It was the best I've seen the Sixers look when Joel hasn't been
when
on
Maxey was going crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, Maxey was going crazy.
That has so fastly disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not a competitive basketball team without him.
The only roaring example, I think, was that Minnesota game maybe a month or so ago.
Maxey and VJ combined for like 70.
Exactly. That's what it takes when Joel's not there. And so, yeah. I think something that you just hit the nail on the head with the Hornets, what you said there is that they're like, they play like a fun style. They're young. They're like youthful. They're exciting. I think that is like the rocky road where I'm at with the Sixers is like, I would like rather see that than this, like underachieving product.
If you're not going to win, then I'd rather view a funner style of basketball.
Youthful, fast, score a lot of points fast type of team.
But the problem is, a week ago, you and I were like, I was bought back into it.
We were just about back in.
I am part of the problem because I thought, oh my God, it's April 1st or March 31st. And Chennai Broom is the only person on
our injury report.
The world we're living in, the Sixers are about to go into the postseason fully healthy. This is all we wanted from the start of the year, no matter what they are. And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's hard to swallow. Like, pause. It's hard to take that, man. It really is. I'm with you. Let me ask you this, just to kind of, well, there's two things to kind of close this out, but I guess they kind of fall into each other. What is one way that the Sixers could like impress you without Embiid? And I'm not talking about winning a playoff series, but like you got Milwaukee and Indy. I think you got Indiana tonight, and then you got Milwaukee on Sunday to end the season.
Yeah,
that finishes it out. We'll probably be in the play-in tournament, facing the likes of Magic, Hornets, or Miami Heat. However that plays out, shakes up. Winning a game or two against like we're gonna fuck around and play the I just know we're gonna fucking play the Celtics. Like I just know, like we can't just get booted the first round by Detroit or something. We're gonna get like swept or something by the Boston Celtics. In like some way they can make it more embarrassing. Like somehow they'll make it more embarrassing than what it has to be. But like, what would be a marker like make you just feel a little bit better going into next season? Is there anything? I guess.
Oh, nothing. No, God, no. There's nothing they're going to do that makes me feel better. I mean, outside of what you said, doesn't really count. Outside of like Maxey, VJ, and Paul George combining for 80 a night and somehow beating the Knicks or the Celtics or someone in the first round, and okay. But no, I mean, what am I going to say? Oh, well, VJ looked good in the playoffs. Cool. Like, don't for his long-term growth. Like, yeah, of course. Like, that's
sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like, instead of feeling better, no, that doesn't make me feel any fucking better. Maxey dropping 35 a night, cool. Did they get gentlemen swept? Then I don't care.
Right.
And that's the road they're traveling down. Not even that. I don't think that's going to happen.
Look, this is the funniest example, and I know, once again, we're not comparing these two teams at this point. Like, we know what Boston is at this point, but what is Boston? They don't have a Joel Embiid. They have a Jason Tatum just returned from injury. They have Jaylen Brown that has kind of escalated himself or rose to an MVP caliber player this year.
Don't get me wrong.
And then they have Derek White.
Different person as Maxey, but
Baylor Shiremans. Bailey Shiremans contributing.
Scotty, the sad part is they were probably going to lose to Boston with Joel Embiid. And that's the part that I refuse. Like, that's the part that never, ever, ever makes sense. I was having this conversation with my uncle. Me and you were having it before the show.
It will never make sense.
Take it on paper. In what world in what world do the Boston Celtics have more talent than the 76ers? If they're healthy.
Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser's a better player than
Baylor Shiremans. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. The dude with alopecia that gets playing time. The ball.
Bro!
Like,
is his name Jordan Walsh or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, who didn't even have like phenomenal years. Tatum just came back, and they're a top 2 seed. So that goes to show you how much coaching still does matter, even though it's these grown-ass men. It's not college. It still does matter. But even then, it doesn't make sense to me. You and I were talking about the Pistons, the Detroit Pistons that, even without Cade Cunningham, still find themselves as the best team in the Eastern Conference. Even I'll give you Cade Cunningham. I'll let him be a part of the list. Run down there. Tell me where the Detroit Pistons are more talented than the Philadelphia 76ers. But you get what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to back the Sixers by saying this. I'm saying even if Joel's healthy, Ball doesn't get suspended, and Tyrese doesn't hurt his hand, they still underachieve. Yeah. And in the playoffs, they just come up short.
Yeah. I mean, look, was it earlier this week or last week? We lost to the Pistons. We didn't have Joel. They didn't have Cade. The thing is, you can lose to them. You can lose to them in Detroit. That's fine.
Can't get your back.
But you get blown out by 20 plus by like Denoris Jenkins and Duncan Robinson and Asar Thompson.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It doesn't make sense, man.
They're 58 wins. They might fuck around and win 60 games this year. And I'm going to throw you the names of Karis LeVert, Asar Thompson, former Sixer himself, Tobias Harris, who's talking shit in our own house to us and to the fans. Former Sixer Paul Reed, 2 guys that couldn't win jack shit here with Joel Embiid.
Number 1 seed.
But they're on the number 1 seed in the East with the Pistons. Isaiah Stewart, who's literally just out there to jump off the bench and fist fight somebody. Duncan Robinson couldn't guard you or me.
Yeah. And
then you have Duren and Cade. In what world, if you run down these rosters, is that team a 60-win team and the Sixers are in the spot even if they're healthy?
It's a great point. And I'm just thinking about the first name you listed, Karis LeVert, right? And then I think about, once again, like a Quentin Grimes or a Kelly Oubre, right? Why does Karis LeVert just have such a defined role with that Detroit team? He's a scoring punch off the bench. He comes in, he's coming in to score the ball. But yet Quentin Grimes, it's like each night you get something like different from Quentin Grimes. One night he's not shooting any shots. Then the next night he's like rebounding, he's driving, he's kicking, he's controlling, he's possessing the ball, handling the ball, playmaking. And then the next night he's just not even included. That's the type of shit that just like blows my mind. Like Barlow's been a quality player, but nights he will just disappear out of the rotation.
Oh yeah. But then he'll have a night in LA against the Clippers and Kawhi where he scores like 15 first quarter points. Now I get every night in the NBA is different, and I get there's going to be certain nights that these no-name guys to other fan bases pop off, and you're like, who the hell is that?
Right. Happens to us all the time, it feels like.
Yeah, it's far too it just happens far too often.
And even Nick Nurse, like I'm not trying to be too picky, man, but even just looking at his engagement on the sideline,
I think he stinks.
His reactions, they just seem so like manufactured. Like it just doesn't even seem like he's really pissed off. You know what I mean? Like he's like just on the sidelines, like yelling at the refs, and like he just looks like, I don't know, man.
And I'll tell you, I'll take a step further.
Like
He's never fired up. He's never pissed off in the right moments.
Exactly. That's what it is.
He will jaw with a ref. He will jump off his chair. He will rip his hair out in a game that they're down 17 late in the third quarter, as if this matters now. But God forbid they were up 8 at halftime, and 3 minutes into the third quarter, the other team's on a 12-0 run, and you're down 4. He's sitting there silent. He's not calling a timeout. He's not making an adjustment. He's not drawing up an offensive set. He's not getting into any players. He's not pulling someone off the bench to give us a shot. Nothing. Yeah. He's fucking silent. But God forbid they're down 20 and he feels they got the shit end of a call. Oh, he'll be right there ripping his hair out.
We're gonna challenge it. His challenges are horrible too, man.
I think he stinks. It's not fair, right? We've seen on other occasions with other coaches and managers. Like, guys, it's not fair to say, oh, well, when they're winning, none of it's credit to him, but when they're losing, it's all his fault, right? I don't think there's been a situation where that is truer, though. I think when you have Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George and VJ Edgecombe on the floor, you're going to have a damn good chance to win a decent amount of basketball games.
You should.
What do you do
I agree.
when things get difficult? What do you do when someone has to leave the game with a thumb injury? And he doesn't help the cause at all. He doesn't calm anyone down. He doesn't turn any. Yeah. So I'm over Nick Nurse. Whether they lose in the play-in, whether they get blown out in the first round, like, what would you do, man? Like, to me, I would tell you I would move on from him, but I would also move on from Daryl Morey at the same time. And I just don't know if the organization's already ready to make those changes or not.
Can we get the guy that was on ESPN and the guy that was former GM for the Warriors? Let's get Morey out of here. Let's get Elton Brand out of here. Let's clear the house a little bit, and let's just bring him in and let him kind of overhaul this team. I'm not even saying like get rid of Embiid, not like that. I'm not saying get rid of Paul George, but let's switch it all the way up, man. Let's get it like one more clean switch for Embiid era. Let's just give it one more clean shot, right? Like a new young coaching mind, a new young GM mind. And let's just give it one clean shot. And in return, like, maybe you give it a year or two, and then you do have to move on from Paul George or Embiid. Maybe they just retire or whatever the case may be, and you have that new face. I do agree. I don't think the Sixers will do it, though. I don't think they'll do it.
No, I don't either. But let me ask you before we move on to the Phillies.
Yeah.
We're kind of right. You give it one more shot. How many times have we said that? It all is going to come down to Joel Embiid's health again. But is that relationship even still holding together?
It's got to be rocky.
Like, over the last couple of weeks, ever since like that April Fool's tweet that he put out, and he's out, and then he tweets like, no, I'm not, and then he doesn't play because of an illness or something. He tweets again, they just won't let me play basketball. And then he's made public comments about the handling of that. And it kind of feels like, he's fed up with the organization. He's probably been fed up with parts of the fan base and the media. But at the same time, how can anyone not be fed up with him? Because it's like, oh, you're going to make an April Fool's joke about you wanting to play basketball, but every fucking year you can't play in the playoffs because you're hurt. No one's making this up. No one's overreacting to an injury or two you've had. You don't play every year for an extended period of time. So, like, like, nice April Fool's. So, like, I don't know how mendable that relationship
like read
is.
The room type of thing. Yeah.
But then again, like, what are you going to trade him for?
Right.
You trade him for a bucket of golf balls at this point?
What are you going to trade him for if he demands a trade?
Correct.
It's a great point, man. And to your point, like, you just think even back to the trade deadline where he said he wanted that same roster, and then you trade Jared McCain a week later. I do like in those, mind you, we don't know what, once again, I talked about at the beginning of the show with the appendicitis versus the abdomen issue that popped up like a month ago or so. And of course, you mentioned the April Fool's joke, and in that game, was it against the Heat in the post-game presser? And they're asking him if he's going to play in his first tail end of a back-to-back. And he's like, ask Daryl Morey.
Right.
That sounded so much like Daryl Morey is a fucking liar to me. Like, that's what that translated to in my head is Embiid just thinking back and just thinking like, damn, I had James Harden here. I had, these different opportunities, and, just look at what this guy Daryl Morey does and the things he says to me behind the scenes versus his actions. And I could see, that's just one layer. That's just the Daryl Morey layer. There's other layers to that shit as well.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Harris and the ownership group absolutely suck.
They suck.
They're not winning.
Outside of their own, like, crimes and corruption of Josh Harris, he sucks as, like, a team owner as well. Like, not only does he suck as a human, he sucks as a team owner. And it's just hard to imagine, like, this, like, it feels like a fog, like a toxic fog of a curse around the Sixers organization. And I was telling you before the show, man, Tyrese Maxey and like the way he's acting right now is just really rubbing me the wrong way. Like the crying for fouls, the dropped shoulders, dropped head shit. Like, just, I get it. He's frustrated, and it just looks like the organization is starting to even bring down Tyrese Maxey, who was like this golden child coming out of college, surprised us all, and now even he is like at a frustrated level that he just can't even, hide it anymore. So it just feels like we go through this like in a cycle, man. Ben Simmons, James Harden, so on and so forth. Jimmy Butler.
On top of everything else, right? Oh, on top of Colangelo and the burner phones, on top of trading Mikal Bridges on draft night for a guy that develops a peanut allergy and almost dies and never plays basketball again. On top of getting fleeced by the Celtics and Danny Ainge moving out for Markelle Fultz, who then gets thoracic outlet syndrome and forgets how to shoot a basketball for a year and a half. On top of everything, like we can keep going.
You can't make it up.
No,
you can't make that shit up.
No. You know what else you can't make up? That the Phillies have scored 0 runs in 20.
And see, you got me hip 20 because I had 18 written down. I was just thinking of the two games.
To the win in San Francisco. They didn't score in the 8th and the 9th. They scored 4 in the 7th. So you can go all the way back to the 8th inning in the game 1 in San Fran. They haven't scored a run since then. I don't know what to say about this offense. Because like you and I were talking about, they had a chance to open up this year, not only schedule-wise, you play the Rangers at home, you play the Nationals at home, then you get a gimme series against the Rockies in that ballpark. Yeah. They had a chance to like capture at least some of this fan base's energy back. And they started slow, and we talked about the 3-3 start, but then you go out and you win 3 in a row, and they won 5 of 6, and they're now, they're 6-3 after the first one in San Fran, and they're set up nicely to win that series. You just have to win one of the next 2 in San Fran to win a 4th straight series, or a 3rd straight series, excuse me. And not only did they fail to do that, they just haven't been competitive at the plate, like at all, man. And again, it starts with the guys at the top of the order. It starts with Schwarber. It starts with Trey. It starts with Bryce, who was elite in that first game against San Fran on Monday. And I don't know that he's done a damn thing since then. Nobody has, obviously. But that's where it starts. They get Arizona back at home tonight, who's a good team in the West. I'm trying not to say, like we just said, like as a Sixers fan, I don't want to say something too far because then, when they do turn things around and it's a long season, you don't want to, look like a fool because you overreacted to 12 games. But it just makes you feel like what is different? Because again, like shame on me for believing Joel Embiid's going to be healthy and they're going to win in the playoffs. Same thing here. Like I came into the season energetic again, ready for Phillies. Oh, they're going to, and they're not. And you're just being paid too much money to look so lifeless every time you step to the plate to do the same shit. Trey Turner doesn't know how to not swing at the first pitch of an at-bat. Yeah. Doesn't know how to do it. It's so frustrating.
I want to ask you something, man, because I'm listening to you and like I definitely feel you, like, and you're spot on. Like this was an opportunity to start the season, like you said, hot, on par, or maybe even above par, right? And get the Phillies fans, more importantly, bought back in on the team, get them excited, get them out to the ballpark. And I'm sure it's getting nice out this weekend. People are going to get out to the ballpark.
Yeah, they'll probably be sold out.
But, it in line with what you were saying, and I do have a question for you. I'll get to it. But it almost – you don't want to jump the gun. It's 162 games, but this 9-game homestand coming up against Arizona, Chicago, and fucking Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to use the term make or break, but like, it's not going to make or break the season, But does it make or break like the first third of the year's excitement for the fans? Like you're just going to be playing catch up for the next 2 months or something?
Absolutely,
like,
and I think that's a great point because
I'm trying to gauge it. You know what I mean?
Because as much as they had an opportunity to beat up on some of the early competition, like Scotty, man, let's be honest. Let's say they did average 6 runs a game against the Nationals, the Rockies, and the Rangers. Yeah. And they started out 5-1 or 7-2, something like that. People would be excited. You and I would be excited, but you would still have the already negative Philly fans, the people that, nothing's going to change my mind until I see it in meaningful moments.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to sway them. You have an opportunity, like you just pointed out. That opportunity started in San Fran, so you're already behind the 8 ball, losing the last.
Yeah, that's fair.
But these are all playoff caliber teams.
Yeah.
The Cubs, to some people, are a team that can win the National League and compete with the Phillies and the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks are in that Dodgers division. Now, they're 7-6 to start the year. They're right where we are. They're second out in the West right now. The Braves
are 6-6 as well.
Right, and you're talking about the homestand.
Yeah.
They get to play the same teams on the road right after that. So you go Diamondbacks, Cubs, Braves, then at Cubs for 4, then at Braves for 3, and then you get the Giants back at home for 3. You play 3 or 4 of the same teams for the next month, and they're all playoff-worthy teams. This is where, if Bryce Harper wants to make Dave Dombrowski eat his words about the not elite comments, if Kyle Schwarber wants to earn that payday that brought him back to Philly, if anyone else would like to fucking step up in the lineup, the next month is when to do so and when you can capture people's attention again.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's what I was looking at. It's like, as much as the San Fran series, especially the end to it, can bring you all the way down, get a couple wins against the Diamondbacks this week. Get 2 out of 3. Get 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, man. Get 2 out of 3.
Yep.
Then we're sitting at what, 8-7 at that point? 8-7?
Yeah, which on paper isn't going to look good, but you continue to win series after series, and that's what I thought they were doing against San Fran.
Wins. Yeah.
And that's how you separate yourselves in the standings. No one's looking at standings. It's fucking April, what's today? The 11th, 10th? I don't know.
Yeah.
But no one's worried about that. The question right now is, after this slow start, how do you bounce back against good competition?
Right.
And if you don't, and you continue to look lifeless, I've seen managers fired for less. I've seen players benched for less.
But it's that point. It's like, it makes it so hard for us to like, what are we going to pinpoint for them to turn around against the Diamondbacks, Cubs, and like you just have to play fucking better, like in general, like overall. Well, let me also, the lineup, the bats have to get going. Like, we can't go out here and score. Obviously, you can't go out and score 0 runs. Like, that can't happen. So just like, don't do that. You know what I mean? It sounds so basic, but that's where we're at right now. With, you just said like lifeless. So like, just don't be lifeless at home against these teams, right? Like, don't do that. But
and let's be fair. Look, you aren't, obviously, what's the goal of any sport, Scotty? Babe, you know that answer? How do you win a game? Score more than the other team, right? You're not going to win a baseball game if you can't score a run, okay? However, the pitching has also not been great over the last 4 or so games. Taijuan Walker, like, obviously we all want Zach Wheeler back ASAP. He just jumps to the top of the rotation. He's a top 5 pitcher in baseball. He's fucking electric. But on top of that, it bumps Taijuan Walker out of the he can't. He's not a major league pitcher. And then, you can put him in the bullpen. He has bullpen experience. He's a long leverage guy for if you get into trouble, if a starter gets hurt, whatever, you have him there. He can't. I mean, my God, the Rockies game, I'm listening to it on the radio driving over on Easter, and by the time I even got to my uncle's house, I think he had given up 6 runs. He can't pitch. Andrew Painter, in the game they did win against San Fran. Obviously, Painter was electric in his opener against the Nationals. Got beat up a little bit very early on in this Giants game. The Phillies come back, they win that game. Sanchez, over his last 2 starts. Now, obviously, awesome on opening day. His start against Washington. Now, these numbers are not bad at all. I'm not trying to pick on him for
Sanchez's level and expectation. Yeah.
5 1/3, 4 hits, 4 walks, and a run. The 4 walks is what I was getting at. He was not sharp in that game at all. And then you get the Giants game the other night where, they didn't score. So it doesn't matter what Sanchez does. But in 5 innings, 11 hits, 4 runs, only 2 of which were earned. But 11 and 5 innings of work for Christopher Sanchez. He hasn't been sharp over his last 2. Luzardo wasn't sharp for 1. Nola's basically given up 3 or 4 runs in both outings.
Yeah.
So you ain't winning a single baseball game by not scoring a single run. But the pitching also has to start to get back on track and be as dominant as we've seen it be, because this rotation is too talented not to be.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's what I mean, man. It's going to take effort. It's going to take upscale and performance.
Stop looking lifeless
across the fucking board right now, because they're underperforming, man. That's what it comes down to. They're underperforming now. And I don't know, what's a good marker to come out of, I don't want to get ahead of myself, right? But the homestand, right? The next 3 series, what's a good marker? Is it even about it? Is it more about how you look versus these teams than getting wins?
That will play a factor, right? Like, because I think as crazy as this sounds, because it's just to win baseball games, but you and I both know how it works when it comes to the football team here and this quarterback, right? If the Eagles win a game 10-3, that
doesn't matter how it looks.
It's going to be about the quarterback and the offense not playing well, not passing the ball well. Here, I think with the Phillies, it's the same thing, Scotty. Honestly, I think there's a part of this fan base right now that would be happier if the Phillies lost 2 out of 3, but lost the games 9-8, 10-9, 6-5, rather than win 2 out of 3, but the bats still aren't quite going, right? Yeah. I think the bats are obviously option A. They have to wake up. You can't keep looking lifeless. And so game by game, series by series, the goal is just to win the series. Like, everyone wants to pull the Braves and sweep, and don't get me wrong, that's fucking awesome. If you sweep the Braves or the Diamondbacks or the Cubs, that's amazing.
Sure.
You try to win a series at a time, but you stack those on top of each other, you're going to less teams in baseball. So that's all they have to try to do.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great point. And I think just on the other end of things, what you're describing, it's like, what do our starting pitchers look like when they have run support for once, right? Like, when you get a run or 2 on the board before the 5th inning, like, or at all, right? You give Sanchez some run support, maybe he gets a little bit more confidence and performs a little bit better. Same thing with Luzardo.
Crazy concept, I know. Score early, score often.
But yeah,
because we all remember the first game in Colorado.
What'd you say?
The first game in Colorado when they scored a fucking touchdown in the first inning.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you're not just going to do that, right? No one goes out and does that all the time, but they haven't sniffed jumping on anyone early, and that's part of the problem. But before we get out of here, dude, I know you're not, really the biggest hockey guy out there, but I think for the first time,
let me put it this way: I'm like a bandwagon hockey fan.
I would argue that
it's the best way to put it for me.
85% of the city is in the same shoes as you and the same shoes as me, because I'm not going to sit here. I love the Flyers. They're all my they're on my body. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and act like I've been a diehard Flyers fan over the last 3 years and tune in basically every night like I do with the Sixers and the Phillies, because I haven't. Right. But what this show started as years and years ago, before you and I met, this little podcast, I would have Jason Mertatis on every game leading into the playoffs, and we would talk a lot of Flyers hockey. So the show does know Flyers hockey. Don't get it twisted. They're this close to getting back in the playoffs. This close. They control their own destiny. They're sitting in the 3rd spot in the Metro Division. They're not even a wild card team right now. I believe with 3 games to spare, they're at 79. So 3 games to spare. They're at 92 points or 91 points. They got a point up on dear God, is it Columbus? I think is right behind them in the Metro.
It looks like the Islanders.
The Islanders, and then Columbus is right there below them as well. The Caps, I think, are 3 points below as well. So there's teams still in the mix, but they had a chance last night to continue to build that lead. And I think in terms of like percentages to make or miss the playoffs, it would have put them at like 76% if they won the game. I think they're floating in like the low 50s or high 40s. They're still in a very good chance to make the playoffs, but they have to just take care of business. I know it's easier said than done. This is such a young team, but the games they've played over the last month or so are just all playoff-like, so meaningful. And this team's just fun, dude. Like, if you're not paying, if you're out there and you're not paying attention, everyone knows, or most people in the city know just the name Matvei Michkov, right? From last year. And if you didn't know him from just last year and the excitement, you know him from the drama this year, right? Tocchet not playing him as much. He's being benched. He came in the camp out of shape. All these rumors he can't skate, all this type of shit. Well, in comes Porter Martone, which I don't know how the hockey draft works. I don't know the eligibility factor. Basically, this kid gets drafted a couple months ago or whenever by the Flyers from Michigan State. They lose in like the college playoffs, right? Because or whatever, but they lose in the college playoffs to Wisconsin. I think they were winning. They blew the lead. Since they're out, he's eligible to sign with the Flyers. The Flyers then give him a 3-year contract. I don't know how old the kid is. He's a kid. And he immediately gets thrusted into the first team power play unit, immediately gets tons of playing time. His first game in a Flyers uniform, he took like 100 shots. But he scored the game winner on Easter in overtime on a power play over the Bruins. This kid's so much fun. Zegras is so much fun. Tippett's a lot of fun. We're not even talking about Michkov's Dan Vladar came in because goaltending, I mean, my God, since the Carter Hart issues have become such a problem for this team, Vladar's been effing awesome for this team. They're fun, man. It's not fun in terms of like, oh, offensively, they're going to, spoil you. They're more of a defensive, lower scoring. I think in terms of like betting wise, they're one of the best teams on the under this year. But they are fun and it's right around the corner. So I think that's on Tuesday.
Porter Martone, he's only 19. It looks like he has 2 goals, 4 assists, and 6 games played. So points per game. That's crazy. I feel you. I can get into it. I'm just not an expert in hockey. That's what it comes down to. I never played hockey as a kid or anything like that.
If we're being honest, of like the major 4, it's like the most niche of sports, the most niche.
It is.
And I will say, because like I said, I wouldn't classify myself, as bandwagon, but you can call me that if you want to, because they've been bad. They're going through a rebuild. I haven't been tuning in and spending my nights watching the Flyers all the time. Now I'm gonna playoff push. I'm watching the Flyers. That's bandwagon, cool. The part of Flyers fans that I can't stand, dude, they're very gatekeeping.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that.
If you haven't been watching for the last 5 years, don't watch
jump now. Yeah. I get it to an extent, but like at the end of the day, I don't know. It's kind of like the Eagles the last few years. There's been a lot of bandwagons from outside of Philly that have like jumped on the Eagles fandom, right? I saw this one dude on a Barstool thing talking about he became a fan in like 2016 or some shit. Or it might have been 2018 rather, right? Like right after we won the Super Bowl. It's like this real young guy that like doesn't even know who some of like the early 2000s Eagles are. And it was eye-opening, right? Because we have become one of those teams. It comes with success. You're going to get those bandwagon type of fans. But it's all I'm trying to say is like I've never denied somebody from the Eagles fandom. Sure. Because they just
it's one thing as a fan, as like a diehard fan, especially in a niche sport such as hockey in this town, to where you can get frustrated, right? If you're on social media, and let's just take like hosts on the radio that haven't talked about the Flyers.
They're not covered at all. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're in a playoff push, and the people or content creators are like tweeting out or talking about them as if they're the most knowledgeable people in the fan base. Then I can understand you having a problem with that, you being annoyed, like, yo.
People trying to make themselves the face of Flyers.
Correct. But to like, get mad that like people like are going to root for it, like want to be there and want to that's weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, if it's one thing if I'm like taking a seat from like a, dedicated Flyer
Yeah.
fan, but I'm not doing that. I am going to enjoy some Flyers puck if they
Hopefully.
do,
Well,
if
yeah,
and
I
when
was
they
gonna
do
say
make
let's yeah, especially because if they do get in, it is more likely that it's Flyers Penguins in the first round if they get in.
Yeah, that's what I've been reading. Yeah, I
And
did
that's
see
gonna
that
be
too.
fucking amazing if that's the case.
It'll be interesting, man. But like I said, like when they made the playoffs a few years ago, I was on the Flyers train, boy. Like, yeah, I was in there. I even got real upset when they lost. That it's just part of being a Philly fan. They're part of the Philly four, if you want to call it five with the Union, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to say there. But I've noticed like a lot of the fan bases in Philly, like outside of Eagles and Phillies, basically. The Sixers, the Union, the Flyers kind of have like their
own.
Yeah, they're very defensive of their fan bases, man. So I don't know. I try to be kind of like our buddy Parcero with the Union, try to get everybody I just try to accept everyone and just have fun with it. That's what sports are for. Like, it's just have fun. We don't need to sit here and like gatekeep.
You're just grown men, like getting annoyed that people are watching. You're all because here's the problem. Before we wrap up, those same people that are like gatekeeping Flyers hockey, all they've wanted for 3 years is for people to acknowledge the Flyers or talk about the Flyers on a segment or get them on the air or whatever. And they are, and now it's like, well, no, I don't want you to talk about them.
You get what you want, and now it's a problem, right? Like,
shut the fuck up.
If the Flyers, if they can consistently put together some runs here, they get this core that they're working with right now, and they can build this out for a 2-3
they're
years.
not. That's the thing, man. They are not supposed to be in the playoffs right now.
Exactly.
They are a year or two out from being anywhere near where they are. And the thing with hockey, more so than anything, is it's one of those dances where if you can just get in,
you got
not that we're talking Stanley Cup, right? But if you can get in, you could go you could play with the Bruins in a 7-game series potentially. You could play with the Penguins in a 7-game series.
Maybe win a series.
Play with Carolina. So yeah, like it's one of those playoff formats where you're not getting the Dodgers in a 5-game series as the Reds, right? Like that's not what this is like. So
it'll be a little different.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited, man. I think that's the one. The good thing for the Flyers right now is that the other Philly teams are not performing or at a high level right now, so they can really make some noise and make some headway when it comes to followers and
or just drastically
fun, man.
That's
what I mean.
Down even further.
The Flyers are just fun youth.
Yeah,
that's where I'm getting to with the Sixers and like what I want almost compared to what we've been experiencing. But yeah, man, I think like you said, let's just have fun on the ride. Let's enjoy it.
All right, that'll do it.
Happy Friday, brothers.
Subscribe, follow, and go enjoy your weekend.
Yes, sir. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Seems like we had